Okay, so let's unpack this. We're diving into some really, really old texts. You've shared these excerpts from the Rig Veda.
Right. Think of them almost like snapshots, glimpses into a worldview from thousands of years back.
And these specific bits we're looking at, they really shine a light on two huge figures in that world, Agni and Indra.
Exactly. Two very powerful, very central deities in the Vedic pantheon, at least in these hymns.
So yeah, our goal here, our mission for this deep dive is to sort of pull out the key ideas, get a handle on the traits and the stories about Agni and Indra as they show up right here in these lines.
And crucially, what were the people chanting these hymns actually hoping to get from them? What were they asking for?
It's kind of a shortcut. We're not trying to digest the whole Rig Veda, which is
Well,
massive.
definitely not.
Yeah.
But we want you to get a real feel for what mattered in these moments of interaction, let's say, with the divine.
And why bother with something so ancient? Well, because digging into these old requests, these beliefs, it actually tells us some surprising things about, human needs, what people valued, feared, hoped for.
Things that maybe still echo today. So let's explore together what jumps out from these verses and why they're still, well, fascinating.
Okay, where do we start? Agni.
Let's start with Agni, yeah. And right away, these hymns pile on the impressive names. He's the Holy One, victorious, splendid, the Radiant One.
Lots of light imagery there.
Absolutely. He's also called Son of Strength, the friend of the home, the household's Lord. Very domestic,
Yeah.
but also powerful.
And they use these other terms too, like unerring and Jatavedas.
Sattvavedas, yeah. That one's interesting. Often translated as something like knower of all births or all-knowing.
Ah. Okay, so right there it tells you he's like much more than just the fire and the hearth.
Exactly. He's deeply tied to the ritual itself, the altar, the act of making offerings. He's the one being enkindled, receiving fuel, food, oblations.
He's the focal point, the active presence in the worship.
He is the connection, yeah. The messenger carrying the offerings upwards, and flowing from that role, the hymns then detail what worshipers want from him.
Okay, so what are they asking for?
Well, a big one is protection. They ask him point blank to turn away hate and mischief.
Keep the bad stuff away.
Right. And it says that when Agni protects, want, sorrow, and ill will just vanish, they're gone.
Wow, okay, so quite comprehensive protection.
And there's also this focus on prosperous friendships and kinships,
Yeah.
good relationships, which makes sense, for a god tied to the home.
Yeah, that tracks. Protection, good social bonds, that feels kind of intuitive for a fire god, that steady central presence. But what really stood out to me in these sources were the benefits that felt a bit less expected.
Oh, absolutely. You'd expect warmth, light, maybe protection from fire.
Yeah.
But these hymns say Agni is the source of poetic wisdom.
Poetic wisdom from the fire
Yeah.
god.
And profound thoughts, even hymns that prosper. It's like the creative spark, the inspiration flows directly from him.
That's fascinating. Okay, what else?
And wealth. It's not just spiritual insight or safety. It's very material prosperity.
How specific do they get?
Pretty specific. They mention wealth with heroes to adorn it, bliss-giving wealth, and even getting the fleet impetuous charger, a fast horse, basically.
So a war horse, maybe, linked to victory?
It seems so. He's seen as the one who enables the worshiper to win, to be triumphant, and to gain the bounty that comes with success.
Okay, so Agni's power translates to battlefield success and the riches that follow.
Yes, he empowers you to excel, be wise, prosperous, wealthy, and, yeah, even to slay foemen. The sacred fire is directly linked to winning and getting rich.
Then there's this whole other angle about sin and affliction. That seemed really significant.
It is. These verses say Agni makes worshippers sinless in the sight of Aditi for sins they committed out of foolishness.
Aditi, she's like this boundless mother goddess figure, right? Associated with freedom.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
So being made sinless in her sight, that suggests a really deep kind of purification, almost like being absolved before the ultimate authority.
And they ask him to just remit offenses entirely, not just like lessen the punishment.
Entirely. The request is total remission, and it goes further. They ask him to free people from the prison of gods or mortals.
Whoa! Literal or metaphorical prison.
It's hard to say for sure. It could be both. But the plea is for freedom from confinement and also freedom from this affliction, whatever it might be, and for an extension of life.
So his power stretches from the fireplace all the way to these huge existential issues. Sin, freedom, sickness, life itself.
Pretty much. He covers a lot of ground.
And the descriptions of him are so vivid, too. Shining brightly, visible even at night. There's that line, food is fair to look on in thy beauty, when he's there.
Yeah, the aesthetic element is present, and the imagery can be really dynamic and, well, specific. He's described like a horse is led forth.
Like leading a horse into the ritual space.
Seems like it. And he thrice comes like a charioteer, maybe
Mhm.
signifying different stages of the fire or ritual. And this part's amazing. Day after day, they dress him as they clean a horse who wins the prize. They clean and dress the red sign of the sky.
They dress the fire like a prize-winning racehorse.
That's what the hymn says. Cleaning him, adorning him.
So, okay, putting it all together, the god of the hearth, this vital fire, is also the source of poetry, freedom from sin, and he's tended like a champion horse. What does that tell us?
It tells us he's incredibly multifaceted, right?
Mm.
Far beyond just an element. He's a conduit for blessings, wisdom, purity, prosperity, and treated with immense care and honor.
It completely shifts how you might think of just fire. It's this active, powerful, complex force.
Absolutely. It layers the basic idea of fire with just immense spiritual and practical weight.
All right, so from Agni's steady, vital, almost nurturing power, let's make a big jump.
Yeah, a dramatic shift now to Indra, the storm god.
And the titles for Indra, just as impressive, but with a totally different feel. Mighty, impetuous one. Magavan, which means bountiful.
Right, the giver. Also the bull, Saka the powerful, lord obeys his horses, thunder-wielding, sovereign ruler, king of peoples. It's all about power and dominance.
He's the warrior king archetype.
Definitely. And the absolute central story for Indra in these hymns, the thing he's famous for, is slaying Vrtra.
Vrtra the dragon, the obstructor.
Exactly. Vrtra, or Ahi, the serpent or dragon who lay coiled up, blocking the waters, the seven rivers, holding back life, essentially.
And Indra takes him down.
With pure, overwhelming force. Hurling his thunderbolt, his Vajra, cleaving the mountain where Vrtra was hiding, putting forth his immense strength, bursting the rock, tearing off mountaintops. It's described as this epic cosmic battle.
A world-changing event.
Totally. And the result is this massive release, liberation. The waters, the floods just flew freely and swiftly. Rivers wander again, streams are refreshed, the plains that get water, even dry cows are milked again.
And ow, like breaking a drought on a cosmic scale.
Precisely. And they mention him doing this for specific people, Vaya and Trivedi, making floods easy to cross. And then there's that really striking image.
The young maids, skilled in law, unwedded.
Yeah, flowing like fountains, usually interpreted as the rivers themselves, now personified as these pure, lawful, flowing maidens, finally free.
Okay, so that's his main myth here, but the hymns also just keep hammering home his sheer scale of power, right?
Oh yeah, relentlessly.
Yeah.
His size fills earth and heaven. He exceeds all worlds. Earth and heaven tremble when he shows up. Mountains shake.
He sounds terrifying, actually.
He can be. It says he alone overthrows the world of creatures. He conquers, he slays, he wins loot cattle, gold, horses, he breaks open forts.
So pure destructive power, too.
Well, destructive to his enemies, certainly. His anger, his indignation, makes everything fixed or moving fear him. He made settled people unsettled, scatters dust, breaks things like lightning. He's raw power.
So given all that might, what are people asking him for? Seems obvious, but let's spill it out.
Protection, number one. Especially in battle, in conflicts. He's even called the protector of the body.
Makes sense. And victory, I assume.
Absolutely. Victory over enemies, especially the Dasyas, who are described here as prayerless ones, maybe sorcerers, basically the other.
The outsiders, the foes.
Right. And just like with Agni, but maybe even more so with Indra, wealth is huge. They want booty, treasures, riches.
He's the treasure lord.
The giver of blessings, the source of envied bounty, it says.
Exactly. And they ask for strength, courage, things you need for battle, and just, well, life.
Is there a more personal side to the requests?
Yes, surprisingly. He's asked to help and support the singer, the worshiper, described as being like home, like nutrition. Even prompt to listen.
Prompt to listen. For such a huge cosmic figure.
Seems so. They ask him to guide them to better fortune, give them life and vital strength, and be a guileless friend.
A guileless friend. That feels intimate.
It does. And the freedom he brings by killing Vrtra isn't just about water. It seems to translate into a broader sense of liberation for the person praying. Okay, but here's where these hymns, for me, get really wild. And kind of unexpected.
You mean his backstory?
Yeah. Amidst all this cosmic power and victory laps, the sources give us these really dramatic, sometimes pretty dark stories about Indra himself, like his birth.
Oh, yeah. Highly unusual. Born from his mother's side, apparently.
And contemplating destroying her, not going out the usual way, drinking soma right away in Tarastar's house. It's intense.
It really is. And his early life sounds incredibly difficult. His mother hit him, maybe cast him out. Someone named Kusava swallowed him.
Swallowed him, and Vyamsa struck his jaws. He won in the end, but still, it's a struggle right from the start.
And then there's that really jarring bit about him killing his father by the foot.
Yeah, what is that about? It's so specific and brutal.
It's shocking, and it gets even more raw, doesn't it? The mention of him cooking dogs' intestines.
In deep distress. That's such a powerful image of desperation for the king of the gods.
It really grounds him, in a way, shows vulnerability, struggle, finding no comfort among the other gods, seeing his own wife, his consort, in degradation. These are not simple, heroic tales.
No, not at all. And then there's that miracle story, the blind boy eaten by ants.
Oh, the son of the unwedded damsel. Yeah, that's extraordinary. Left in an anthill, blind, afflicted.
And Indra rescues him.
Rescues him. The boy grasps a serpent, rises up, breaks a jar, and Indra somehow reunites his joints. It's this incredible act of healing and restoration against all odds, physical and maybe social too.
So Indra connects with the suffering and the marginalized too.
It seems so in that story. And the hymns also place him in specific contexts, mentioning his friendship with Kutsa, helping Surya with his chariot, defeating various enemies like Susna, Mrgaya, Pirpru, the swarthy 50,000.
Often linked to the Dasyus, right?
Often, yeah. These feel like specific battles or events known to the audience.
And the descriptions keep coming. Bull, wild elephant, dread lion with weapons like heaven armed with lightning, wearing Perusni for adornment. What's Perusni?
Possibly a river, or maybe some kind of battle ornament. It adds to the vivid picture.
Okay, let's pause here. We have this god of immense power, the Vutra Slayer, the wealth giver. But the hymns also give us this background of, frankly, a messed up birth, struggle, patricide, desperation, and this connection to the suffering boy.
Right. It's a really complex portrait.
So what does that tell you about how these ancient people understood power or divinity or even suffering? It's definitely not a simple, perfect hero figure.
No, it absolutely isn't. It suggests that even the most powerful being in their cosmos was seen as having a history, a past marked by real conflict, darkness, and challenges. Power and struggle weren't mutually exclusive.
Looking back at both Agni and Indra now across these hymns, you really see the relationship, don't you, between the humans and the gods?
Yeah, it's very clear. It's active. You invoke them, you give them offerings, you praise them.
And you expect results, very tangible results. Prosperity, safety, victory, freedom.
Freedom from sin, freedom from sickness, freedom from literal obstacles like blocked rivers, maybe even freedom from social or physical limits, like with the ant-eaten boy.
And the key thing is, the gods are seen as listening, as responsive.
Exactly, responsive to the worship. These hymns paint these vivid, sometimes really complex, surprising pictures of deities who are deeply involved in the human world.
They aren't just distant cosmic forces. They have personalities, histories, relationships.
And it underscores this worldview where divine power was sought for really practical, down-to-earth needs. Safety, food, wealth, health, success.
Not just abstract spiritual enlightenment, though wisdom comes into it with Agni.
Right, but the immediate needs are very present. And those detailed stories, the myths, especially the unexpected ones about Indra, they add so much richness. They really challenge any simple take on these beliefs.
So to wrap up this part of our dive, we've looked at the sources you shared, explored Agni and Indra. Kind of contrasting, but maybe complementary.
I think so. Agni, the steady heart, the ritual fire connected to inner well-being, wisdom, purity.
And Indra, the dynamic warrior, bringing external victory, breaking down barriers, freeing things up.
But also carrying the surprising weight of personal struggle and darkness in his own story.
Yeah. These ancient texts, when you really look closely at the details highlighted in your sources, they offer some truly amazing insights, don't they? Into that basic human drive for well-being and the complex ways people imagine the divine working in their lives.
And those core concerns, those ways of thinking about power and struggle, they still resonate thousands of years later.
So here's something to maybe chew on after this. Think about Indra's story, again, killing his father, his mother rejecting him, that image. Cooking dogs' intestines in distress. What does it actually mean when the most powerful warrior god in these hymns has that kind of challenging, dark personal history woven into his identity? How does that maybe shape our understanding of power, or heroism, or even what divinity could mean as imagined by those ancient poets?